Meanwhile, in Australia, they have just experienced yet another frightening anti-Semitic attack. A daycare center was set on fire in Sydney near a Jewish school and synagogue. Anti-Semitic slogans were graffitied on the walls outside the building, and although the daycare was significantly damaged, no one was injured in the incident. Australia's National Cabinet met to discuss the recent uptick in anti-Semitic attacks and said they created an anti-Semitic incident database to address this concerning rise following the most recent arson attack on a childcare center. For more, we are joined by the Israeli Special Envoy for Combating Anti-Semitism, Michal Cotler-Wunsh, former member of the Knesset Blue and White Party. Michal, thanks for being with us on the Rundown this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this anti-Semitic incident database, I'm curious, in your opinion, if it's enough to actually combat this dangerous rise we're seeing in Australia. I mean, a childcare center was lit on fire. This needs to be taken seriously.
It is so far from enough that I can't begin to underscore. What we have seen in the past 16 months is a tsunami of anti-Semitism, including in Sydney, in Melbourne, not just targeting synagogues and schools and houses of worship, but individuals. The sense that there is this continued sort of one-off response, as if this is a one shocking event, and it is shocking, but it is no longer surprising, cannot suffice, including the convening of this cabinet very haphazardly, sort of calling it this morning and then convening it and doing actually more of the same, which is words, condemnation. What we have to be clear on is it is time for action. It is time to make very clear that without the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition that enables to identify and combat all strains of what is an ever-mutating lethal virus that has been mainstreamed across Europe, across the United States, across Canada, and across Australia, if we do not approach this with the existential urgency of identifying and combating and implementing existing policies, existing legislation with action, and as I said, utilizing the IRA working definition of anti-Semitism that makes clear that anti-Semitism is not a problem of Jews. It is a problem of anti-Semites and of the places and spaces that allow them to fester, to spread, to permeate in what anti-Semitism predicts, which is a rising threat to all of humanity, to all that cherish freedom. And that is the urgency with which we need to approach what happened in Sydney last night.
So certainly we've been seeing this rise inside Sydney and inside Australia as the country as a whole. But meanwhile, we're also seeing this rise in anti-Semitism online, specifically this week following the hostage release deal and ceasefire in Gaza. Hamas once again being painted as martyrs just for keeping these hostages alive. And so how can we combat this anti-Semitism that we're seeing right now online?
Look, we have seen actually an intersection of, I'm going to say, several war fronts in which anti-Semitism has been mainstreamed in this way, in its current mutated strain of anti-Zionism, or the denial of Israel's very right to exist, in international institutions and human rights organizations like Amnesty and Human Rights Watch, in university campuses, and you are right, in online spaces. And we need to be very, very clear. As I said before, there is one single definition of anti-Semitism, the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance working definition, the result of a very long democratic process. It enables to identify and combat and flag all manifestations, all strains of this ever mutating virus. And if we fail to do so, and you're 100% right, when we have seen in the last 16 months in that mainstreaming is actually support for genocidal terror entities like Hamas, like Hezbollah, like the Houthis. And at the end of the day, what we need to be very clear on is what this enables and emboldens is those genocidal terror entities to do precisely what they did this week, which is extort the state of Israel for the release of 3 women stolen from their beds, releasing tens of genocidal terrorists.
Michal, I want to get your opinion also on this concerning gesture that's also gaining some widespread controversy online as well. It was in a speech following Donald Trump's inauguration. Elon Musk did what looks to be a Nazi salute. Now, it's hard to mistake this hand gesture for anything else. However, the Anti-Defamation League is defending Musk, saying this was just an awkward moment of enthusiasm. But is it dangerous at all that a symbol like this could become normalized?
I want to say something very, very clear. You know, the absurdity and the hypocrisy of those that are politicizing what is actually, and I, implore that everybody watch the entire video and not the picture that was taken and listen to the words that were said, which is, I send you my heart, and so on. I want to make very, very clear. Those political entities, including AOC and many others that are condemning what it is that they perceive to be what Elon Musk did last night, have been silent at the actual Heil Hitlers we have seen around the world, in Montreal, in the United States, in cities across Europe, in what are pro-Hamas, pro-genocidal terror, pro-Mein Kampf anti-Semitism around the world. So I want to make very, very clear. The politicization of anti-Semitism fuels it, enables it. And I would hope that, Elon Musk would actually clarify that that was, of course, not his intent. But again, the voices from which we hear these condemnations make very clear in the hypocrisy of their silence, of their support of genocidal terror, 100%, and in their complete ineffective understanding of what it is that has happened over the last 16 months, including in the United States.
That anti-Semitism should not be politicized, as you're saying. Michal Cotler-Wunsh, thank you so much for joining us.